Welcome in, participants. We are going to get started in just a couple of minutes. So go ahead and take a look at what is on your screen as far as logistics, and we will get started here soon. Okay, welcome everyone to our webinar this afternoon, and we're going to go ahead and get started again. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review the meeting logistics here. Please make sure your microphone is muted. And if you have questions throughout the presentation, please type those into the Q&A and not the chat, just so that we don't get those lost. And then after this presentation, we will have slides in the recording up on our NIFA website. So again, we are happy and excited to welcome you to the Food Safety, Nutrition and Health Program Area AFRI Foundational Announcement and Technical Assistance webinar. Here is our non-discrimination statement. USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. We are excited to be with you here today, and you will see several of these staff members presenting. Some could not be with you here today, and you can also see their pictures as well. And to introduce myself, I am Suzanne Stluka. I am the Deputy Director for the Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition. And again, the staff members presenting throughout today will introduce themselves and their roles as well. We're going to cover quite a few AFRI programs, and so we just have the overview here on this slide, but I promise you we will get in depth on each and every one of them. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Steve Zhang, to present for you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, this is Steve Zhang. I am the Division Director of Food Safety Division, and also I'm the Acting Division Director for the Nutrition. Next slide, please. National Institute of Food and Agriculture, NIFA for short, is the extramural science funding agency within USDA's Research, Education, and Economics mission area. NIFA has always evolved and adapted with changing situations, especially since the relocation to Kansas City about 3 years ago. NIFA has built ever stronger team, and we are thrilled to welcome our new NIFA director, Dr. Manjeet Misra, today, May the 8th. NIFA's AFRI programs are our flagship funding programs. NIFA awards approximately $445 million annually to fund our meritorious proposals. Combined with non-AFRI funding programs, NIFA distributes approximately $2 billion every year in the REE mission areas to our local, state partners and stakeholders. Next, please. NIFA programs cover a broad spectrum of topics. These include advanced technologies from animals to plants, to soils, to natural resources and the environment, from education, particularly in minority serving institutions, such as 1890 LGUs, Hispanic serving colleges and universities, and the tribal colleges, universities, to human sciences, to food and food science and nutrition security. Next, please. Our project types include research, education, extension, and we encourage the combination of research with either education or extension or both. Our grant types include standard, new investigators, collaborations among partners and collaborators, and also we include conference grant proposals. Next, please. Now we'll have our national program leaders to provide you with an overview of AFRI programs in the food safety, nutrition, and health priority areas. In today's webinar, we will get to know and be connected with our national program leaders of respective funding programs in the Institute and the Food Safety and the Nutrition. Now I will turn it over to our MPO, Dr. Jody Williams.
Thanks, Steve. I'm Jody Williams. I'm a national program leader for food safety, and I, along with my colleague, Brianna Burke, lead and manage the A1332 Food Safety and Defense Program. Next slide, please. Thank you. I'm going to begin discussing the A1332 Food Safety and Defense Priority. So Food Safety and Defense only accepts research projects. Awards are for up to 3 to 5 years. And up to $650,000 for standard grants, strengthening standard grants, and new investigator standard grants. There is an additional supplement of $150,000 for up to $800,000 with specific partnerships. C grants are up to $300,000 and conference and equipment grants are up to $50,000. This program also offers sabbatical grants. The application deadline is August 24th at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the success rate for A1332 was 25%. In fiscal year 2023, NIFA requests proposals for basic and applied research that will reduce the risk of intentional or unintentional contamination of foods for the Food Safety and Defense Program. Applications must address one or more of the following. They're listed here, but not in any particular order. It doesn't indicate importance. So projects looking to develop microbiological methods for enumerating enteric pathogens, specifically Salmonella, Campylobacter, and Shiga toxin producing E. coli in large representative food samples designed to represent a food production lot. Projects looking at developing microbiological procedures designed to alleviate the need for enrichment in the detection of very small numbers of pathogens in large food samples. Projects looking to develop methods for identifying, detecting, and/or enumerating pathogens of relatively high public health risk, including persistence or virulence. Projects looking to develop and validate advanced and innovative technologies or processes for food processing, manufacturing, packaging, cleaning, and sanitation to effectively reduce the presence of surviving enteric pathogens in food and processing facilities. And also looking at projects that develop pre-harvest or post-harvest methods to detect, reduce, and or mitigate microbial pathogens, allergens, physical hazards, or toxic chemicals in foods. Projects looking to develop methods to identify, prevent, or reduce intentional contamination or adulteration of foods are also invited, as well as looking to develop and validate novel strategies for the effective control of persistent reservoirs of foodborne pathogens. I'm now going to hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Lydia Kermit. Lydia?
Thank you, Jody. My name is Lydia Kame, and I'm a National Program Leader in the Nutrition Division. The program team that's leading A1343, or the Food and Human Health, are myself as the lead MPL, Dr. Honda Chen as a Secretary National Program Leader, and Mrs. Yamilis Ocasio as the lead program specialist. Next slide, please. Applicants to the Food and Human Health program are to use the program code Priority Area A1343. These program codes are very important. This program budget requests are not to exceed 650 total per project for project periods 3 years to 5 years. This program requests research projects only. The program grant types and durations are as follows: 36 to 60 months for standard grants, strengthening and new investigator standard grants, up to 24 months for all seed grants, up to 12 months for sabbatical grants, up to 60 months for conference grants. And this program application deadline is August 10th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Applications must all be submitted through grants.gov, and the success rate for this program is 23%. Next slide, please. This program requests proposals to use culturally and contextually appropriate approaches where applicable to investigate the interrelationships of food or components of foods and their impact on the gut microbiota to improve human health. The project results should inform precision nutrition or personalized dietary needs, particularly for historically underserved populations. Project results should complement our national dietary pattern recommendations to prevent, reduce, or control chronic diseases. Applicants to this program are requested to address at least one of the following: investigate the interrelationship of food or components of food and gut microbiota on human health, and/or research on functional outcomes of the interrelationships between toxic elements such as arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury on human microbiome, and/or investigate the relationship of food contaminants and the human gut microbiota, and/or determine the structure and functional outcomes of metabolites of gut microbiome and food or food components and/or their contaminants. I will now welcome my colleague, Dr. Pascal Jean, to present the next program.
Thanks, Dr. Kome. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Pascal Jean, and I'm the secondary MPL for the Diet, Nutrition, and the Prevention of Chronic Disease Program, also known as A1344, along with Dr. Mallory Kinnings, who served as the lead NPL, and Mr. Ryan Cornegay, who served as the lead program specialist. Next slide, please. In this specific priority area, NIFA requests proposal for integrated projects that help prevent and control chronic disease equitably across the life cycle by supporting and encouraging culturally relevant, healthy dietary choices through data-driven, flexible, customer-focused approaches. For A1344, All standard project of 3 to 5 years and a total of budget of $1 million must be integrated that involve interaction of at least 2 of the 3 functions of agriculture, which are research, education, extension, or outreach. The only single function, which is research only, project that A1344 accepts are seed grant or conference grant proposal. If you are interested in submitting a seed grant proposal, please follow up with NIFA to ensure that your organization is eligible to apply for strengthening seed grants and that the investigator is eligible to apply for new investigator seed grant. Seed grants provide a total of $300,000 for support up to 2 years. In addition to helping prevent and control chronic diseases, A1344 project also addressed critical current and future effects of climate changes on food system or the potential to improve the health and financial security of food insecure families by reducing food waste in a home. NIFA welcomes application to consider educational components of integrated project that addresses training or retraining workforce that career and career as nutrition educators to support food and nutrition programs, particularly in historically underserved population, or develop evidence-based programs, interventions, and material responsive to local regional workforce needs while addressing barriers to career pathways. Project with specific types of partnerships, small and mid-sized or minority serving degrees granting institution not only list most successful institution, EPSCoR institution, or international partners can request up to an additional $150,000. Next slide, please. For A1344, the priorities for 2021, applicants must address at least one of the following below program area and at least one of the program priorities approach, which we'll cover on the next slide. For program area priority, applicants must develop, implement, and evaluate innovative research, educational, and outreach strategies to improve eating patterns that prevent and control diet-related chronic diseases. They must investigate, assess, and recommend food and nutrition research and programs intervention with the goal to achieve food and nutrition security and improve and sustain health, or they must improve food security and nutrition health outcomes for racial, ethnic, minority population, underserved population, rural or remote population to an evidence-based approach to healthy eating and active living. Next slide, please. For the program area priority approach, applicants must provide at least one of the following: a personalized nutrition, which focus on individual rather than group of people or specific historically underserved communities, nutrition education that motivates or facilitates voluntary adoption of food choices and other food and nutrition related behaviors, policy, systems, and/or environmental change effort supporting of healthy food and physical activity behavior, or culturally and contextually appropriate approaches to tackle food and nutrition security. Thanks for your attention. Now we'll pass this on to Dr. Hannah Chen, who will provide you with information about A1364, novel foods and innovative manufacturing technology.
Thanks, Dr. Pascal Zhang, and welcome to all of you. And let me mention first, I'm Honda Chen, National Program Leader for Bioprocessing Engineering and Nanotechnology. Joining me is Ms. Donna Phelps, the Program Specialist. Two of us collectively provide the leadership to this program. Next slide, please. This program is for research only, and with the same budget ceiling of $650K per project for a period of 3 to 5 years. This program also offers the partnership awards, so that they're similar to the ones that described previously, with additional $150K supplement. This has a pack of the grants type typical to the AFRI Foundation of Applied Science. One thing should be noted is that the deadline this year is September 28th. different from last year. And then successful rate for the standard grants is 20%. And the successful rate for seed grant is nearly double of that. So this is a really good encouraging news to the FACE eligible seed grants as well as the new investor seed grant applicants to think about this program and submit your proposal. Next slide, please. The program scope are described by these 4 bullet points. The first one is improving knowledge and understanding of chemical, physical, biological, nutritional properties of novel foods and non-novel food ingredients. And this may also including effects of climate impact on these qualities, these properties of foods. Second, improving safety, quality, shelf life, convenience, nutritional profile, and sensory attributes of novel foods and novel food ingredients. Third, develop innovative manufacturing technologies that increase productivity, improving food quality and or nutritional value of foods and food ingredients that are more sustainable, including the measures in the energy, water, and resource efficiency. Finally, advancing science and develop technology to improving shelf life to minimize food loss and waste throughout the food supply chain. This may also including consumer empowering tools to support a circular bioeconomy. So I will turn it over to Dr. Jody Williams for the next program.
Thanks, Hanga. So it's Jody Williams again. I'm the National Program Leader for Food Safety, and I, along with my colleague, Brianna Burke, lead and manage the A1366, Mitigating Antimicrobial Resistance Across the Food Chain. Next slide. So I'm going to share with you some information on the Mitigating Antimicrobial Resistance Across the Food Chain program. Proposed budgets for all AMR projects are up to $1 million for standard grants, strengthening standard grants, and new investigator standard grants. All standard grants must be fully integrated and include a research, education, and extension component, except for the seed grants. Seed grants are up to $300,000 and does not have to be integrated. They can be research only. $50,000 awards are available for conference and equipment grants. The application deadline is September 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And the success rate for fiscal year 2022-2023 was 20%. Next slide, please. Innovative solutions to the complex problem of antimicrobial resistance in food and agriculture are most effectively addressed by interdisciplinary teams of experts using a systems approach. This systems-based integrated program will empower interdisciplinary teams to develop, refine, and disseminate science-based knowledge about food and agricultural management and production practices that can mitigate or reduce the risk of antimicrobial resistance along the food chain. Approaches can span AMR knowledge gaps to include, but are not limited to, stewardship and behavior changes in food and agriculture. The goal is to ensure safe, nutritious, and abundant food supply while conserving and protecting responsible use of antimicrobials across the food and agricultural domain. In FY 2023, mitigating antimicrobial resistance across the food chain applications must address at least one of the following priorities. Describe, quantify, assess, and or mitigate the risk to human health from the presence of AMR pathogens or genes. Investigate and assess important factors such as fitness and violence associated with foodborne AMR pathogens that contribute to AMR development and persistence, leading to foodborne illness. Identify risk associated with antimicrobial use and pathways in livestock and crop systems, AMR development, and public health. Assess AMR in food and agriculture, specifically challenges for small-scale or historically underserved producers, or determine improved best management practices and approaches in antibiotic stewardship and trusted resources for communicating and dispensing antibiotic stewardship information and guidance. I'm going to hand the presentation back over to my colleague, Dr. Hanga Chen, to speak more about the nanotechnology for ag and food systems program.
Thank you very much, Jody. This is the team that provided collective leadership to the nanotechnology program. Dr. Jim Dabrowski is the secondary NP of this program. Dr. Desi Ruka and Donna Fairhurst are the two program specialists for this program. Next slide, please. Similar to a number of the programs mentioned earlier, the budget, this is the research-only program with a budget ceiling at the $650K. And also the program offers the partnership with 150 supplemental funding. And the application deadline is September 14th. The program is highly competitive with a successful rate about 15% for the standard grants. However, the program, you notice that the C grant successful rate is at more than 40%, really shows a strong support to the young scientists and new investigators in this area, as well as the Strengthening Institute. And I should mention that we also receive a postdoctoral award. The applications and success rate last year was 50%. And there are a number of the priority lists under this program area. The key message is that the program support innovative science at the joints of a cutting-edge nanoscale science, engineering technology to address the critical, relevant, significant agriculture issue. You needed to have a nano and agriculture and the food at the joints of these. So these are the priority list, the highlight that we support the research in the value-added products, and we support the nano-enabled sensors, and we support the sensor network technology for integrated and precision agriculture. Next slide, please. And we pay attention to environmental health and safety assessment of engineered nanoparticles in the food and agricultural system. And we also support the research to develop nanoscale tools for monitoring physiological important process and biomarkers in the food and agricultural production system. And then finally, the fundamental discovery and characterization of nanoscale phenomena, process, and then structure relevant and important to the agriculture, the food system is also supported by this program. Now I will turn the program to my colleague, Lydia.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chen. Now, I will talk about this new program. NIFA invites proposals for competitive grant to fund a Center for Research, Behavioral Economics, and Extension on Food Loss and Waste. The program area priority code is A1741. This program has a budget request, including indirect costs that must not exceed $1.5 million. The program anticipates only one award, and this is a one-time funding. The project types invited to this opportunity is the integrated project, which means they have to have research and extension. So they have integrated projects only. The grant types include standard grants, strengthening grants, and new investigator standard grants. The application deadline for this opportunity is Thursday, September 14th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This program is co-led by Dr. Charlotte Taro, Dr. Vijay Nadula, myself, and Dr. Victoria Finkenstein. Next slide, please. In this next slide, I will walk you through the funding priorities for this opportunity. So the center must examine or support research and extension efforts that address two or more of the following non-exhaustive food loss and waste issues. examine the costs and benefits of policy, technological practice, and behavioral interventions designed to reduce food loss and waste from farm to consumer and throughout the supply chain. Develop economic and empirical models of food loss and waste. Advance the science needed to make our food systems less wasteful, more sustainable, equitable, and resilient. Leverage public and private partnerships and resources to inform, standardize, and streamline food loss labels and relevant consumer education to ensure understanding of date labels. And that's examples are like use by, best before, or sell by date. The center should also assess the interrelationship between food loss, food and nutrition security, healthy food programs and practices, and environmental impact, adoption and management of resource conserving and risk mitigation for post-production practices to reduce food waste, support strategies for planning and implementing food loss and waste efforts, targeting food loss and waste anywhere from farm to table, including local, small, regional, and urban production efforts, and catalyze innovations and technologies to reduce food waste and increase consumer food safety and knowledge of food preservation. Additionally, the center must also address the following: develop a national extension food loss waste strategy that is in alignment with other national food loss and waste strategies and extension frameworks, engage with minority serving institutions and historically underserved communities to develop a management and outreach plan, develop and apply culturally and contextually appropriate approaches in research program and activities, and identify strategic approaches in the private sector among other key stakeholders, including youth voice. Next, I will invite back my colleague, Handa.
Thank you, Lydia. Now it gives me greater pleasure to introduce the two cross-cutting programs. First one is A1541, Data Science and for Food and Agriculture. And this program is led by Dr. Ann Stapleton, joined by two other NPLs, Dr. Steve Thompson and Dr. Jessica Shade. And the program is, the due date is November 16. The total funding for the program is $7.5 million. And I left out the detail of other maximum level of fundings as the program has a couple of innovative ideas of funding different, the structure different than the project at a different level. For instance, there's a coordinate innovation network of projects, and then there are actually a couple of those. So I really invite you, interested individuals, to look at the RFA for the details. And those are in addition to the standard research at a typical ceiling of $650K. So look up for that detail. Next slide, please. As many of you, the data science, including artificial intelligence, are rapidly penetrating different sectors of industry as well as our people's life. And in this program, look at the intersection between data science and AI, and then the agricultural areas, including food, and then to enable systems and communities to effectively utilizing data and addressing some of these critical challenges. The applications for research and integrated research project must address one of the 6 AFRI priority areas as spelled out in the Farm Bill. And we especially now welcome proposals in the area of climate smart agriculture and then forest, food and nutritional security, environmental sustainability, in economic revitalization and justice. The most competitive proposals in this programs needs to be well-grounded both in the agriculture and the food science, as well as in the data science. And I'm glad to report that we're now seeing more proposals coming from food, agriculture, food safety in the data science submitted program. And then we encourage all our scientists in our space to collaborate with the data science and submitting more proposals to the program. Next slide, please. This next cross-cutting program, A1701, is a critical agricultural research and extension, or called CARE. The program goal is to address critical challenges and opportunities that the research and extension, pay attention, this is research and extension, I left out the education in there, together can address to improve the national agriculture and then food system. This program is for the integrator of a research and extension projects only. So this is very important. The proposal due September 14th, and then the program is led by Dr. Vijay Nandula and Dr. Jim Dabrowski. So next slide, please. I think this will transition to my colleague, Dr. Kwame again.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. So now we will shift gears a little bit and talk about the application package and the guidance around that. So let's do that in the next slide, please. Yes. So this is very critical for applicants to know that each RFA has a unique funding opportunity number. And the highlighted number, USDA NIFA AFRI 009755, that is, pay attention to the number, and that is the funding opportunity for this RFA. Applicants must use the correct application package associated with the RFA to which they are applying. And this is important because if applicants do not use the right number, then the application package puts your proposal at risk of not being found in time for review. So applicants must use the correct application package associated with the RFA to which they're applying. This is the message we want to really convey in this slide and to be taken really critically and essentially. Next slide, please. In this slide, and the next slides coming up, the information I'll share is also found in the RFA, pages 119 and 120. And we'll talk about the key components of your application, which are the project summary, which is the abstract, the project narrative, the bibliography or reference list, and the data management plan. In addition to the RFA, applicants should also review and follow guidance provided in the NIFA Grants Application Guide. Next slide, please. So diving in a little deeper into the important aspects of the project narrative, which is a key document, the project narrative has an 18-page limit and will be strict, and this will be strictly enforced. There'll be a single line spacing, no more than 6 lines per vertical inch, 12-point font, which includes text, figures, and tables. Within the 18 pages, applicants are to include an introduction, the rationale and significance, and the approach. Applications exceeding the page limit will be returned without review. Additional details are also available in the attachment list of the AFRI RFA resources page, and the document title for that reference is FY 2023 Foundational and Applied Research, Applied Science RFA Additional Information for Part 4C. So this is what you'll be looking for in that resource page. Next slide, please. Another key document we get lots of questions about is the data management plan. Investigators must provide detailed up to 2 pages business and management plans, including expected data types, data format, data storage and preservation, data sharing, protection and public access, roles and responsibilities. These aspects are required for the data management plan. Please also review this in the NIFA data management link provided here. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about the application submission, which is also found in page 118 of the RFA. And this is how to talks about how to submit. NIFA only accepts electronic submission of applications. You want to refer to the NIFA grants application guide, which is available in on the slide here as well, which provides you a lot of guidance on what to do. Also, this is very critical. All application documents must be in PDF, portable document format, for them to be accepted by NIFA. And that is to include a narrative, the budget justifications, or documents. Important for applicants to know is that grants.gov may allow other formats. For example, grants.gov does allow you to submit a Word document, but NIFA does not allow that to into their system. Also, do not use third-party PDF builders. Next, I will invite Dr. Jody Williams to cover the proposal evaluation process for NIFA. Thank you.
Thanks, Lydia. So now we're going to pull the curtain back a little on the proposal evaluation process. So the first step in the evaluation process is to recruit a diverse review panel. And this panel is recruited by panel managers and the national program leaders. These panels are institutionally and geographically diverse. They are colleagues at different stages in their careers, early, mid, and late career. Panelists are also diverse across gender, race, and ethnicity. Once the panel is recruited, proposals are assigned for review to at least 3 members of the panel with expertise in the proposed topic area. They review the proposals independently based on evaluation criteria outlined in the request for application and on their own individual merit. Reviewers then produce individual reviews for each proposal, evaluating the strengths and weaknesses. These written reviews are used to begin panel discussions, which happens when all the reviewers are brought together to discuss proposals. Through these discussions, the panel comes to consensus on the final rating and ranking of all proposals. Next slide, please. So proposals are evaluated using the evaluation criteria for each project type and grant type. For research projects, the evaluation criteria are scientific merit, qualifications of personnel, facilities, and project management, project relevance, and Center of Excellence status. So you want to make sure your proposal meets the minimum criteria for a Center of Excellence if you are trying to apply for a Center of Excellence. That information is detailed in the request for application. Next slide, please. On average, the competitive review process takes about 3 to 5 months from the proposal due date to the time of award. The first 1 to 2 months of the timeline is the request for application release, and that includes the proposal writing and planning time. The next 2 to 3 months, the proposal is under review and recommended award notifications are made. The last 1 to 2 months, the awards are finalized and funds are made available to the institutions. I'm going to hand it over to Suzanne.
Thanks, Jody. Sorry, everyone. I'm trying to handle both spotlighting and everything. So let me get this changed out here quick and then we'll continue on. Okay, I'm going to wrap up additional information that we thought perhaps you all would be interested in knowing. This is coming from our Institute of Food Safety and Nutrition, and we really wanted to open up other opportunities to you outside of just the AFRI program as well. So one of those areas for you to learn more, we often have project directors on and others to learn more about the awards that we give out, is our NIFA Nutrition Security webinar series. And you can see the website here at the bottom. We will also try to place that here in chat as we go along. But we have many topics, and I am going to put in a plug for the June upcoming webinar, which is happening to be on food loss and waste. So again, lots of new innovative topic ideas for you to join us in. If you're taking a look and you want to know what was funded in the past, and do I have a novel idea? Is this something new? Is this going to appeal to the reviewers, the panelists? Please be aware that you can search our CRIS, our Current Research Information System, for that information to take a look and see what has been funded, read abstracts, look at who the project directors are, and again, just a wealth of information here for you to do. And we really encourage you to do that and take a deeper dive before putting your application in. We also want you to bookmark some of these sites for our NIFA website for you. If you're interested in more of our events, please check out our events calendar. That will help you to get in tune with deadlines, meetings, and various webinars that are coming up. We also have our request for applications, our RFA release calendar, and that's where you can find all of the RFAs that are available as well. And please do look at current NIFA funding opportunities, in particular to our AFRI RFA, again, which is posted here as well. We also have a wealth of grant resources on our website. Again, more funding opportunities, the flow chart for you to look at. I see some of you have questions that we'll answer here in a moment, and that flow chart can really help with those. We have grant training. We actually have a technical assistance grants webinar taking place all this week. Don't worry if you missed it. It is going to be recorded and those slides posted as well. If you're new to NIFA, we highly encourage you to also take in that training as well. Read through our policy guide. That will help to answer a lot of questions that you may have, perhaps in doing your budget and some of the rules and regulations around those various policies. If you have questions on indirect costs, which often grantees do with the AFRI program, again, here is that direct link. And as Dr. Kwame talked about, here's a guide for preparation and submission of NIFA applications on grants.gov. And then I talked about more information on those awarded grants as well. We also are very interested in having you as reviewers. So if you are interested in getting to know a little bit about what takes place behind the scenes and you would like to be a reviewer first, perhaps before jumping into being an applicant, we highly encourage you now to sign up on our website that you see posted here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your expertise. This is where the national program leaders that you heard from today, they peruse that, they look through that as they're making their selections to pick a diverse panel. So again, we really encourage you to sign up if you have not already. Okay, we are at the end of our actual presentation. Before I stop sharing my screen and open it up, I know we have quite a few questions here. I just want to note earlier that all of these national program leaders are here for you. We are very responsive. And as you can see, you can reach out to them at any time. So start with an email. That's a great first way to connect and ask your questions of them. And so we want to be available to you and to know that we're here for you and the questions that you may have. If you're looking for our organizational chart, that is also up on our website as well. So again, I'm going to stop sharing and we look forward to answering your questions now that you've put into the Q&A. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, and then I know some of them have been answered, but I'm going to kind of facilitate here and then ask my national program leaders to come back on camera now so they can be seen, and then to come off and help to answer the questions. So let's see, we have for A1343, Melanie asked, would impact of PFAS, contaminants on human health through food, be an applicable project? And Lydia is typing an answer, but Lydia, if you also want to answer that, that would be great.
Yes, thank you. Melanie, thank you for your question. It is difficult to determine what the project would be like in one sentence, but I'm available if you want to talk a little bit more about how that project does interact with gut microbiome and fit in the priority. But I would generally encourage anyone looking into applying to A1343 to look at those 3 priority areas, because that's what the reviewers will be looking at when they are evaluating your project to make sure that it fits those program priority areas. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Lydia. We heard a lot about success rates today, and so there was a question posed, is that based on 2022 RFA or a different period of time? And so those would be based on the 2022 RFA. So we try to get you that success rate immediately and report out on that. But I'm going to pause and just make sure I haven't misspoken, but national program leaders, I believe it's on the 2022 RFA.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just seeing some of these are being answered here as well. So I think the one on how can we include the additional $150K for an EPSCoR institution, Hongda has answered that, has typed in that answer for you. If you still have questions on that, please let us know. See, my staff are quickly responding to you. So I think we are getting your questions answered. Let me scroll down here. Okay, food waste. Carrie asks, did I hear correctly that A1344 would be an appropriate home for projects looking to reduce food waste in the household setting? If not, she's looking for ideas if there's a fit for priorities for any of the other programs.
Thank you for your question. A1344 really focused on the diet and disease prevention, but there is a component that does look at food waste. We do have other NIFA initiatives that focus mostly on food waste, but this program, food waste can be incorporated, but the main goal is chronic disease prevention using diet. But if you, as Lydia mentioned, if you do have additional questions, feel free to reach out and we can set up a call, or I can send you some information to review.
And again, I think depending on your topic, there might be some of these other areas. So if anybody else wants to join in from our staff and flag that, but again, it would behoove you to go through that RFA and possibly look for those keywords and other areas that it might fit into.
Yeah, Suzanne, I may just mention that 1364, the manufacturing part, and that also intend the technology to reduce food waste and food loss. So, yeah.
Thanks, Honda. Okay, I'm just scrolling through. Looks like it's popular for A1344 again. So can they include animal models or human only? Can they submit dietary prevention of cancer in animal model or in humans?
Animal models does implement as well. If you, as Dr. Stluka mentioned, if you get a chance, please do a quick search. But if you want to, please send me an email. I can send you an example of previously funded programs so you can see some of the projects that are being implemented and proposed. But it's definitely consider doing a quick search, seeing what A1344 projects being implemented before, or you can send me an email. But definitely human models and animal models are acceptable.
Thanks. Okay, I just left this one up, and I know that Dr. Chen responded and he said, So someone asked, should the seed projects be 2 years long? And that is correct. So I just really wanted to emphasize that one. Okay, here's another one for A1343 or A1344. They're looking at investigating the relationship between food, human microbiome, and obesity, and they're kind of wondering which one they should maybe start with.
I'll
So-
attempt. Okay. All right. Dr. Jit can go after me if you feel you need to add something for sure. But I do think when you have to look at human health and gut microbiome is part of that, and it is a focal point part of your investigation, and it's a project only, this is a research only project for A1343, then it would fit. But you want to think about that because A1344 has a different project. It's more integrated, Pascal, right? So
Definitely integrated, yes.
it depends on how you want to approach your research and also what your priorities are, your objectives are in the bigger scope. But it sounds like it fits both to me.
And as Dr. Kwame mentioned, I would highly recommend you read the priorities and see where you lie more, and then apply and see which one is your main focus.
Thank you, Dr. Kwame and Dr. Jean for that. Okay, this next one is also, they were asking about A1344, but I think it could be answered in general, but how do they determine eligibility for SURE? So any pointers, national program leaders, on how they make sure they're eligible?
I'll jump in on this one. So it's listed in the request for application, all the eligible entities, but if it's still unclear to you, just send us an email and we'll let you know.
Yeah, and definitely. And if you're applying for a seed or applying for new investigators, there's a lot of resources. Please reach out. There's a cute little chart kind of show you if you qualify or not. And if it's still confusing, please reach out to either the AFRI team or ourselves, and we can help you.
There's lots of pathways. So we are here to support you and help you to look into that. I think it was already answered, but I just really wanted to verbally respond as well. Some of you are saying you're having trouble accessing the slides. That's correct. We're posting them after we get done today. So stay tuned. We'll get those up as soon as possible after today's webinar, and we'll also get this recording up as well. Okay, let's see. I think some more questions are coming in. What is the success rate for 1890 universities? So again, that's a great question. We don't necessarily break that down here individually by our awards, or I guess we didn't today. I'm not sure. I have to, again, lean on my national program leaders. I believe AFRI releases that report, but I don't think we do it individually for each of the program areas with that success rate. But again, I lean on the rest of my team to help me out here.
That information is available in AFRI's annual report, but we do not specifically individually break it out by program.
And I might add a word of encouragement that when we're talking about the partnership awards, the 1890 colleges can actually be the leader of that application, and then to have your partner being otherwise. So, and there are some successful cases of the project in this formation and then actually get it supported.
I think this last one that we're going to answer live here, it's the last one in the queue, I should say, is again, could be applicable to many of the program areas. So I'll let whomever wants to jump in and answer that. Can a seed project be submitted to faculties, researchers at any stage? I'm thinking they meant career, and submitted at any stage of their career, a seed project.
Yep. The answer is yes or no, depends where you are from. For the Minority Serving Institute, for the AFRI states, the Minority Serving Institute who are not among the most successful states, yes, you can apply to any stage of your career. However, for the new investigate seed grants from these non-strengthening institutions, then you do need to be eligible for the new investigator in order to apply for seed grants. Yeah. And I invite my colleagues to chime in if I'm mistaken on that.
Thanks, Hongda. Okay, this next question is asking if USDA NIFA has an application model for each program like NIH. I'm making some assumptions here as to what the question is asking. So again, if I'm making too many of those, let me know. But no, we don't necessarily post an exact application model and not for each program as well. So we have those references that I shared on one of the last slides, the tips that Lydia shared, the tips that Jody shared. And again, I'm going to put a plug in for the grants and technical assistance webinar that's taking place this week. It's very detailed. Go and I should have one of my staff, as I'm talking here, put the link to the registration in the website so that you can watch the recording if you missed that and get access to those slides. I think you'll find that helpful.
And in addition, we do have a NIFA application guideline document, very helpful, really breaks down every section, kind of tells you what to do and how to put application together. And also, good point, please, if you haven't had a chance, please review the previous funded applicants, see the abstract, see what they're proposing, kind of have an idea of what we're looking for.
Great, thank you all. Okay, this is an international partners question. Can U.S. applicants work with international partners? What are the implications of working with non-U.S. based institutions?
Let me try to take a first crack on that. And I invite my colleagues to chime in on this one as well. The international partnership is to look at a strengthening that research proposal, really bring the talents, all the capabilities that are not available here in the US, but available internationally, representing cutting edge of science and technology, and to make that proposal really strong and benefit US agriculture and the food system. If you're successful getting an award like that, and the partnership piece of the awards, 150K, that you can actually transfer that to your collaborator, overseas institution. And then this is a very real offering. Not too many federal grants offer such a, a flexibility of the fund formula partnership. So this is a really real opportunity. And anyone who have interest in that should really seriously consider about such a offering and make the best use of that and really benefit the U.S. food and agriculture.
Thanks, Dr. Shen.
I was trying to cheer for Honda's comment. Yes, correct, but I raised my hand instead. Yeah, I think that is certainly correct. NIFA encourages international partnership, especially when we do not have the expertise and someone outside the US can offer the expertise to advance agricultural science, food science in the US. And if we consider and recommend it for funding, you can get up to $150,000 to be sub-awarded to the international partner. So it's just confirmation to Honda.
Okay, I don't know the answer to this next question. I bet my staff do. If not, we will, I wish it wasn't anonymous, but we will try to follow up and get an answer in our policy guide. But Does new investigator status take into account time off for medical conditions or maternity, paternity leave? So I'm going to lean on my staff here.
It does not.
Okay. We mentioned that success rates are published in the annual reports, correct? But the last report was 2020. What's the timeline for releasing the annual reports? And yes, you're correct. We are a little behind on getting that annual report published. So it has to go through a lot of approvals. And so I can't give you an answer as to the timeline for the next report. But again, we can check with our leadership. Again, I'm going to pause and see if the rest of my staff know, but I have not heard an update on the release of an upcoming report. Okay, these are fabulous questions. We have come to the end of what's in the Q&A box, but we do still have a few minutes here. So if you have any questions, please do let us know. In the meantime, I'm going to just thank Dr. Williams for posting the grants technical assistance workshop. And what you're going to see if you attend or review that recording is many of these staff members are on there as well. So they are very knowledgeable and can help you from a wide variety of aspects. I'm going to give just a little bit more of a pause, and if we don't have any new questions coming in, then we'll end here shortly, but I'm going to give one more pause.
Suzanne, there is a question in chat and asking about the successful rate for equipment grant in
Oh.
A1366. That's the mitigating antimicrobial resistance program.
Dr. Williams, yeah, Jody, do you want to, and you might not know that off the top of your head, so we can get back to them.
I caught myself double checking, but let me just, I can,
Okay.
while we wait for a pause, I'll look again.
Okay, and I think
Yeah.
some more questions maybe came in.
I may just make my off-topic comments that equipment grants in the AFRI applications, at least the programs that I've been running, that it's not very common, or at least the number is very small if there were any or any given year. So counting the successful rate is a disadvantage because a small, numerate, small number of applications. So that's just a quick reflection.
I did see in the chat that we perhaps have a mistake on some of our slides. So if somebody caught that and we didn't, our apologies. So we will get that updated and double check that. So yeah, just send an email to one of our national program leaders and we'll check on that. In the meantime, Dr. Chen Hongda, there is a question specifically for you about cultured meat being funded.
What is that question, the cultured meat? And I don't
They just, I guess they didn't ask which program, they just said question for you.
Yeah.
Has there been funding for cultured meat in any of your programs?
Okay, very good. A1364, Novel Foods and Innovative Manufacturing, as a founder cell cultured meat program, the project. I also might indicate, which we didn't cover in today's program, is within our SAS program, and we found a larger grant on cell cultured meat and seafoods. This is a multi-institution collaboration to integrate the program. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully we answered that for them. Oh, there is a question. Yep, it looks like we did. Thank you. Is there a letter of intent required? So again, I think where the confusion may lie is the conference grants require the letter of intent. The AFRI SAS program requires a letter of intent, but those are the ones that require the letters of intent. National program leaders, have I stated that correctly? Okay.
And I did check on the mitigating antimicrobial resistance. The date is correct. It is September 21st is when it's due, which is what we have on our slides and also on the RFA.
Okay.
So if you saw it somewhere else with an incorrect date, still follow up and just let me know your resource so we can make some edits. Thanks.
Yeah. Because sometimes, we're a large organization, and so maybe an edit accidentally gets left in on a website we didn't realize or something. So we really appreciate when you all follow up with us and let us know. Okay, here's another question. It's about strategy with reviewers. What advice, national program leaders, can you give to PIs when reviewers recommend them to generate preliminary data versus like repurposing as a final outcome, even when the PI feels like that outcome is novel and groundbreaking information?
Let me first take a first crack. This is a really excellent question, and we have seen among the review comments very often that we have seen that. So even a novel idea and collecting some preliminary data to demonstrate that concept is feasible, that to convince the reviews that this is the direction worth of taking. And you need to help the reviews understand the scientific approach that you proposed here and the concept you proposed here, and make sure this is a really well-grounded with some evidence. And that will help strengthening your position. Sometimes so that we have seen the ideas that the reviews just cannot place their confidence on that as this will work. So among that very competitive application pools and that proposal lack of preliminary data, it really has a disadvantage in terms of competing with others. All that being said, if you're submitting a C grant and then preliminary data is not required, and that is the place that the intention is the C grants that allow you to generate some preliminary data and then to test the concept, so to help you strengthen your position for a full proposal. If you are in the position that you are eligible to submit a C grant to help strengthen your case, and that may be a good strategy that you want to consider. Hope that answers questions.
I think that was very helpful. Anybody else want to add to that? Okay. There's a couple more questions. Oh, just confirmation. Hong did that it was a seed grant and preliminary data. Okay, thank you very much for that. Karen posed a question. Is it preferred to have a university lead a project, or can industry, large corporation, be the lead? I'll start. I mean, the reviewers are going to ask who's leading and why. So, that's what you have to sell. So it just depends on what each organization is bringing to the table. But that's what reviewers are going to look for is really, why, which one stepped up. But I saw Hongda was coming off mute as well.
Right. Suzanne, that's a great response. And then the reviews to look at the application as a whole package. They needed to understand the question that Suzanne posed. There's another consideration here that I want to point out first. The fact is that the AFRI applications are largely from a university and a research institute, and from a private sector, the larger cooperation application, that's relatively real. And one of the things that I think is the motivation behind these research projects. And the university research tends to be more public-based research. They disseminate the discoveries and the data and the information shared with the public through various different media and mechanisms, peer-reviewed publications and conferences and stakeholder workshops, and they share those information. And so that's a difference. But yet, anyone interested in them fall within the eligible applicants, we can always discuss about these, and so that it can help you make a best decision whether you want to lead a project, submit the proposal, or you be a partner with a university and then submit the proposal.
That's great. And just remember, each of those pathways are going to have different eligibility to fit into some of the awards that you're looking at. So if you're looking at a new investigator or a phase, just remember that too, as you're looking at those leads. Okay, we have come to the conclusion of our questions. I think we've come to the conclusion of our time. We really appreciate everyone's participation. It looks like we've got some comments here that this has been very helpful and informative. And so we like to hear that. We really appreciate that. But again, I'm just going to make one last, plug to say, please reach out. We are here for you. We want you to be successful. And so anything that we can do to help with that, just please let us know. And so we are all here and available to you. So. Okay, well, thank you all very much. I think we are going to end the presentation. Take care.